Right.
Right.
And we haven't mentioned it, but it's important too, estate planning. Get your estate planning done. And estate planning does not mean having a document. Because I get people, oh, yeah, I did a will. Oh, yeah, we got a trust. Yeah, we got this. We got that. No. Estate planning is a process. Planning, keyword is planning. And there will be documents that come out of that, but you need to go through a consultative process to make sure that your ducks are in a row, right? Now, life insurance is an incredibly efficient estate planning tool, but it's not the only one.
Yep. After I met Mike, that's in every conversation. There's always like a
Yes.
complimentary
Yes.
appointment with people where I go over estate planning needs. I tell them on the first appointment, it's mandated. If you want this first appointment and you're telling me about cash value and that's what you want to learn about, just know that the third appointment is an estate planning meeting. And that's mandated if you want to do business with me. The way that I got to that point was the book that I referenced earlier, Investments Don't Hug. The CLU, he created a hardline rule. And my rule isn't this hardline, but I do want to get to a point where it is this hardline. His rule is you will never get a life insurance policy from me unless your estate plan is done. That's his hardline rule. Now, my hardline rule is you won't get a life insurance policy from me unless you discuss estate planning. So at least you're educated on it. I understand the premise of it because I can't care about you more than you care about you.
Yeah. And the easy solution to that, DeAndre, is to make them sign something. They did an experiment on people where they would bring them in and they'd have some sort of game that had cash rewards or whatever, and they wanted to see how much would people cheat. And what they found is that most people will cheat a little bit. They'll kind of stretch things a little
Mhm.
bit. They'll kind of, do a little gray area, but they won't push it too much. They'll just cheat a little bit, maybe
R
just what they think they can get away with. They
Right.
won't be completely dishonest. But if they took those same people and sat them down and said, "These are the rules," gave it to them and said, "Please sign this, that you're gonna follow this." After they did that, those same people would follow the rules to the letter, and they would
Mm.
not violate them. And I think there's something similar going on here where you just say, "This is the way I, DeAndre, believe. And if you wanna do this without estate planning, then I just want you to sign this document that says, 'Here's what my agent explained to me. I understand all this, but I've decided I'm just gonna do the life insurance policy and not estate
Right.
planning.'" Some agents will do something similar with human life value where my agent has explained to me my human life value is 5 million, but I'm declining that and I'm just taking 2 million signed and dated. So when your widow sues me, I can pull out this document and say, "Nope, I explained it to him. I showed him what his human life value was. It was his free decision. I advised him properly."
I respect that. I'll sign.
What's funny to me is all these compliance departments who are supposedly there to protect the consumer, they are never talking about this kind of thing. They're never on the life insurance agent to say, "You only got him $250,000 of death benefit. This guy needs 5 million. What are you doing?" They're never on you about that. They're only on you when you violate Wall Street's rules. So, like when your financial advisor, you've probably seen this. I have clients where they'll have over $1 million in assets under management with their financial advisor, and all they have is a $500,000 term policy. That's ridiculous. Compliance
Yeah.
departments
No.
are totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. They could have no life insurance and they'd be fine with it, right?
Well, the investment industry's
I'm
compliance
sorry. I keep
department,
derailing the conversation. We were supposed to be talking about
they have
death
nothing to
benefit
deal with the
delivery.
outcome. That's where the issue is. They have nothing to do with the outcome. They have everything to do with the potential of. Once you start learning more about compliance in the investment industry, you'll realize why they don't really care about if a policy actually pays out. They want to know, are you chasing after a return? And that's always compliant to chase after the highest return,
Right,
which
right,
to me
right.
is
Yeah,
a mind
yeah. No, we know
blowing.
how compliance works. It's just following Wall Street's rules, not rules that actually help the
Yeah.
consumer. How did those widows handle it? Tell me about the experience when you're actually handing the check to the widow. Is she just still in
Fear,
shock or what?
fear, hugs, soak feet. I tend to wear nice threads, many times crying on your shoulder because they're mourning, but They also feel like if it's a decent death benefit, they feel like their husband loved them beyond their vow, right?
Yes.
Because
So this is so important.
do you part, right? For
Look, life insurance is a love product. I love what DeAndre is saying. You're saying, look, husbands, if you don't leave adequate death benefit check to your wife, it's betrayal to her.
yeah,
She feels like she has
absolutely.
been betrayed. And you know why she feels that way? Because she has been betrayed.
Yeah. It's because you left it up to chance. To me, that's the most insidious, and I hate to say it because I don't like creating moral arguments when it comes to products or strategies. But this idea of self-insuring, to me, it's a very wicked concept. And the reason is because you're leaving what you could guarantee in the worst time, you're leaving it up to chance to how well investments perform.
Right. If you
Um,
leave something up to chance, it says you don't really care about that
this
thing. If
says
you're
you
willing
don't
to leave
really
it up
care
to
about.
chance, if you can guarantee it, sometimes you cannot. But in this case, you can.
Right,
Right.
right. Obviously, it's a misrepresentation of words. This is why I say it's morally bad because there's no such thing as self-insuring. You can't transfer risk away from yourself by
Right.
simply paying for it,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so now who's left to pay for it is where it becomes a lack of morality.
Right. Well, how much do you love
My
your
wife,
wife and children?
my wife has
Right.
left to pay for it. Every law,
Yeah.
if you are a high income person listening to this, I just want to make sure that this is clear. Every law regarding leaving money on money is far worse than leaving a death benefit. Right? Maybe you don't know this, and this is for people who are thinking, oh, well, I got insurance and I'm going to leave some behind for my children. Well, your children are going to have RMDs on the money you leave them. There's no way around it.
They're going to pay
Uh,
a lot of taxes on
Came
those
from a death
RMDs. If it's
benefit.
in a retirement account, it will have to go through probate, which is a lengthy court process potentially, unless you did proper estate planning, have a trust. But if you were smart enough to do proper estate planning, you probably have a good life insurance policy too. If
If
you
you,
were, we could
yeah,
talk about estate planning attorneys too
if you
and
were
what they
doing
do.
proper estate planning, I would find it hard to believe that you came to the conclusion that it made sense
Right,
to self insure.
right,
That
right,
just
right.
it'll never make sense. So
But
yeah,
you could commute to work with a bicycle instead of a car. It'll still get you there. It's the same thing here. Life insurance is obviously the most effective, efficient legacy
yes,
tool. If you want to leave a
absolutely,
tax-free legacy to your children on a guaranteed
absolutely,
basis, there's no better way to do it.
absolutely, absolutely. So that's one thing I think when we talk about like the response, I don't think a lot of people understand the emotions of handing the check to the wife, how she responds. It's more than just money.
Right, right,
To them, it's a promise. To them, it's either you left me with nothing and all of the years we were together really wasn't the weight that you made it seem as though to you because you didn't prioritize this.
uh-huh.
But if you prioritized it, it's my husband cared for me so much that it's till death do us part. So even beyond the vow of death, he said, I still want to have a responsibility to her. And that's an overwhelming feeling for a woman to realize that their spouse felt that way about them. There are many, many happy tears. I hate to say this because I remember a guy told me this. Now, I don't use it as a sales tactic, but I understood it. When he goes to a husband, he says, how long do you want your wife to stay unmarried? How long do you want her to say, I don't need another man to try to take the place of the man I had? And that's going to dictate the amount of death benefit that you want to put in.
Yeah, I remember I met with a guy who had a wife and 4 children, now 5 children. and he had term life insurance in force, a decent amount. And I asked him, how did you come to that number? And he showed me, oh, I did this analysis. This is our expenses. This is what it would cost. And so basically, what you're saying is if you were to die, you're condemning your family to subsistence living. Because the only thing this is going to cover is just their bare minimum expenses. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I talked to another experienced agent, and with that client, unfortunately, he still has that same term policy in force, which is more than most people have, but not nearly enough
Not
for
what he
him
needs.
and his needs. And I was talking with him about it. Of course, I told him what his human life value was and tried to explain this to him. He's like, yeah, whatever. And the agent asked me, did you ask the wife? Did you ask the wife? That's the person who really understands this.
Right.
That's the person who's going to be more receptive to, wait a minute, what? How much death benefit is he eligible for? And it's easy to explain why. How many years of his income do you want to protect? Forget about your expenses, okay? That's just subsistence living. I don't think you want subsistence living.
Right.
How many years of your husband's income do you want to protect? And the insurance company is not going to let you protect an unlimited amount.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with your human life value. Here's what it's worth. Start with that. And if you're telling me you cannot afford that in convertible term, well, then what are you spending your money on? Because we need to talk about priorities now.
Yep. Yep.
Then maybe you need to sell your house. If you're telling me you cannot afford a convertible term policy for your full human life value, as long as you're reasonably healthy, because your human life value is based on your financial wherewithal. So affordability should never be an issue. The only issue is being responsible priorities. And to D'Andre's point, what you're telling me is you don't really love your wife and children. That's what you're telling me. Right? Tell me how I'm wrong.
That's what it is, man.
Some people will be honest about that. They maybe won't verbalize it, but you can tell, okay, genuinely, there's a problem here. The spouses don't like each other and they don't like their children.
Right.
That happens.
While the insurance industry tends to get a bad rep, good insurance agents have far better retention than good financial advisors. When a spouse dies, so when the husband dies, I think I got to look up the survey again, but I think it was only 4 to 7% of widows keep the financial advisor. Only 4 to 7%. So imagine this. You've been managing his millions for however many years. He dies, and his wife sees no value in you. No value. And that's because investments don't leave hugs, which is what the book was about. What that says is you've always played on how a man's mind works, which is push, 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 make as much money as you want to, not necessarily be protective or focus on security. How can we make sure things are taken care of? Right? Many financial advisors play on the adrenaline of men, but don't bring the wife into the picture to get what she feels, which is why so many people walk around underinsured. Even though they have a financial advisor, they're underinsured because financial advisor doesn't prioritize speaking to the person who would care more about insurance because they're going to be the recipient of insurance. Usually, when the guy like myself, the guy like you come around and deliver a death claim, we get insurance policies out the wazoo from those instances. Because the person who we deliver the death claim to is going to speak to everybody in their family and say, this thing is real, proof of concept. You need to get yourself together. I've been in situations where families have held meetings and said, you need to get yours next week. You get yours this weekend, because this is a time when they realize death is a real thing. And the person who was there for him, he's more than likely going to be there for me. He's more than likely going to be there for you. But the investment guy who didn't bother to actually speak to the wife and get an idea of what would make her comfortable, and he only focused on, let's get your net worth high, he normally loses that client. He does not retain that client's spouse, who's the beneficiary of what they invested. So,
yeah, it's a great point. And They haven't even had the conversation. When I look at the policies they have in force, it's clear to me they didn't even have a conversation about life insurance at a more than a surface level. It's just, here's $1 million term policy. Okay, why a million? Why 10 years, 20 years? Where'd this come from? I'm going to educate my clients. One of the most valuable things I do is I just educate them on your human life value. Here's how that's calculated, and here's why. Even clients who just have a term policy and nothing else, they're extremely unlikely to go to anybody else because, unlike with their investments, oftentimes they know what they have and why they have it. Yes, it's a term policy, but there was thought that went into the amount of death benefit. There was thought that went into the length of the term, which insurance carrier it's with. Is it convertible? What's it convertible to? They understand this is protecting my insurability. It's not just death benefit because of that conversion privilege. And the death benefit is probably a lot higher than they were thinking when they walked in.
Yeah.
It also costs a lot less than they probably thought. Because when I throw out, hey, $5 million death benefit, you ask them, what do you think that would cost? The number they're going to throw out is probably going to be more than what it actually costs. We're just talking 10-year term.
When you're having these conversations, specifically around death benefit, I hate to tell people this as a truth, but your financial advisor is not the person for this conversation. The person for this conversation is the estate planner. The person for this conversation might be the CPA, but certainly not the financial advisor. There was a post where, because nowadays, because of cash value life insurance, so many of these insurance verification softwares have been created to see if the insurance agent is getting paid too much for doing what they're doing and they're taking something out of the contract. Funny enough, this was a humongous case. And the guy approached it like, oh man, compliance needs to be talking about this. This is the reason why the insurance industry needs to be held to a higher standard. He judged the case by the cash value when the person's purchase was the death benefit. So he's talking about the policy isn't cheap enough.
Right.
Cash value.
Right. They never ask what was the purpose. And to your point, cheap or expensive is a relative term. If we structure a policy for maximum cash value, you could argue we're making the death benefit much more expensive. So if really death benefit is the primary goal, then we're actually going to structure it differently.
We're going to
Right.
structure it differently. Absolutely.
And of course, the whole premise behind it is Marxist. The idea that wealth is a zero-sum game. That if the financial professional made more money, that means you made less. And the only way he can make more money is by robbing you. If that's the case, then we all have to quit and go home because that's not sustainable. Then we're all fighting over the same piece of pie. But no, that's not the way that it works, obviously. The more money you make is an indication that you've added more value. That's how entrepreneurs work. That's how every business works. Same thing with W-2 employees. So thankfully, the reason D'Andre and I can make a living is because the value we're adding to our clients is exponentially more than the money we're making. If we make a lot more money, what that means is the value is also exponentially higher. That's the way it works in any industry.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, this wasn't the emotional, tear-jerking episode I was hoping for, D'Andre. We'll have to try again.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to be crying online.
We could talk about it in a professional manner because it is literally life and death. What we do
Yes.
is very, very, very
Absolutely.
serious. And that's why we have a unique relationship that other financial professionals do not have. We show up at the worst possible moment, at death. And to Peter Nelson's point, we actually deliver cash. Everybody else has their hand out wanting to get stuff. Gimme, 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 gimme. We're the only guy walking in and handing out cash at the worst possible time. And to your point, D'Andre, it's not just about the money. It's about how it shows you care about your family, how you protect them, how you're not going to leave it up to chance. Because if you really want to follow the investment logic of, I'm going to place bets and I'm a smart enough gambler that I'm going to win, maybe you can, but I'll give you one. D'Andre, I can show you a strategy where there's a 96% chance you're going to do better, maybe even substantially better. If you're talking to your standard financial advisor investment guy, most people will say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Sign me up for that. And now there's a 4% chance it might go bad, but 96% chance it's going to do well. This is why we shouldn't be talking in probabilities. So here's the strategy, D'Andre.
Mhm.
Stop paying your homeowner's insurance. There's only a 4% chance you're ever going to file a claim with your homeowner's insurance
Right.
policy. There's a 96% chance that you'll be paying all these premiums and homeowner's insurance for those greedy, evil insurance agents just to make a commission, and you'll never make anything. So drop that, take that 4% and put it in the market where you can get these wonderful 12% returns. There's a 96% chance that you'll do better. And hey, guess what? If something does happen to your house, you'll be so rich by then that you'll be self-insured and you can just pay for it out of pocket. Why wouldn't you do that, D'Andre? A 96% chance you're going to come out better.
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about the mold.
Yeah, we are not placing bets.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If you talk to them long enough, financial advisors start using that word, bet. We're betting on the market going up. We're betting on the US
Yeah,
economy. Oh, so
yeah,
you're gambling. You're telling me I should take my hard-earned money that's for my wife, for my kids, for my retirement, and gamble. That's what you're telling me to do. Now, I would call it speculating, and it's okay to speculate. But when you use that word appropriately, then you say, okay, I got to be careful with position sizes. I got to be disciplined and I got to have protection in place. To D'Andre Clayton's point, that's not saving. Investing is not saving. Different aspects. So, yeah, it's okay to invest. It's okay to take on some risk. It's okay to speculate in the market. And hopefully the odds are in your favor. That's okay. But just understand that is not a replacement for having the right protection in place. You got to get that protection in place first. Then you got to start building your savings. And then you can go into investing and speculating. And now, ironically, you're much more likely to be successful because you'll be able to ride out those bad periods. You'll have the peace of
Yep.
mind to do this properly. You can look at a plan on paper, that's great, but that's like looking at a diet and exercise plan on paper. Can you really execute on it? Is the question. How does it suit your investor DNA? How does it suit you psychologically? We shouldn't over engineer the plan. We should come up with a plan that has a high degree of fault tolerance, not something that looks good on the spreadsheet in a lab, but that doesn't work in the real world.
Yep.
So I know I'm just rambling at this point, but
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we do another episode about this because one thing I think I've realized is that what investment guys abuse and hyperbolize more than anything is inflation. I hear this concept that you need your accounts to keep up with inflation. I don't think people actually know in a 30-year time frame what the average inflation actually is because it's actually pretty easy for accounts to
yeah, it's to create that FOMO, to create the
But you-
urgency that, oh, you got to put your money to work for you. You got to put
right,
your money to work for you or you're
right,
losing.
right.
Marin Katusa is a wildly successful speculator. Made lots of money in gold, silver, natural resource stocks, uranium. He says, my favorite asset is cash. My favorite asset is cash. He loves sitting on a large wad of cash, earning zero. Earning zero. Now, to an unsophisticated type, it might look like he's losing to inflation. You know who does the same thing? Warren Buffett. Every smart investor keeps large amounts of cash, ideally in cash value life insurance. So then you're not losing to inflation because you're earning interest and dividends. The point is, it's safe liquidity. What is that? That's your big gains in waiting. Most of the time, it's just sitting there. And you might view it as, oh, I'm losing to inflation. No, you lose when you stay fully invested all the time because then you have no wiggle room. You have no emergency fund and you have no opportunity fund. So when a COVID crash happens, when a 2008 crash happens, or when some asset that you want to buy all of a sudden drops, you can swoop in and make those large gains.
Hold on. No, you're supposed to buy and hold forever. Come on, man. You need to
Right.
quit that.
Right.
Forever.
Right. And guess who's holding it? Not you. Guess who's benefiting from it? Not you. It's just sitting there. It's not benefiting from you. It's not giving you any cash flow. Buy and hold makes sense if I'm holding something that cash flows, like a rental property. If I buy a rental property, yeah, I could hold that forever and keep collecting those rent checks.
He's collecting rent.
Sure, it's just like an annuity with more maintenance and risk, but what's giving me income? If you want to buy and hold, whole life insurance is the ideal vehicle.
Oh
The
yeah, no,
ideal vehicle.
that's true.
Well, D'Andre, maybe we'll try and actually talk about what the topic was supposed to be next time. But good catching up with you, man. Thank you for sharing your stories. We'll try and do a little better job next time. Talk a little bit more about widows and orphans. Widows and orphans. That's what this is all about. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, D'Andre. God bless you, my friend. We will talk again soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Godspeed,